This is an Excelloy 52, okay? It's an all-purpose mild steel rod. It runs AC, it runs DC, it runs either polarity, it runs all position. Gives you an 80,000 tensile strength, okay? So guys will ask what it's like. It's like a 60-10, a 60-13, and a 70-18 all-in-one rod. It's like a 60-10. It will weld through any adverse conditions. You can throw this in a bucket of water. It won't bother it. You know, you can take a piece of rusty material, the worst piece you can find. We could take a can of spray paint, spray it. Take a tube of grease, put that on there. This will weld straight through it. Welds easy like a 60-13. I can stand here and stop and start. I don't even need to look at it. It'll stop and start, you know, without looking at it, okay? Once you strike an arc with, you can't stick it, okay? One of the nice things you can do with this, you see you can't do with your low hydrogen. You know, if you do this with your low hydrogen, all the flux is gonna come off. This comes in handy. You need to get a tight area. It's a contact rod. I can get in contact, I can just drag it around. It's a tight area, you can't get back in there to chip. I can weld straight back over my own slag. You'll get no slag entrapment, no porosity, okay? So it's just an all-around good handy maintenance rod. Sometimes you got something where there's water. If it's coming out like a fire hose, you know, you're not gonna plug it. But if it's seeping water, seeping oil, seeping this will go back over. It has a quick freeze slag. You know, so that's the first one. Ready? All I do is strike, look away. And then I strike it. Then I can walk away. Right? And then what I'll do is I'll come over here and say, hey, how am I doing over there? You know what I mean?
There's a lot of these. Okay, here we go.
Now, when this is underwater, it deflects the rays. So you can look at it when it's underwater. You're not getting, you know.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so, but here. Okay, watch your eyes.
Have you ever seen that before?
I've never seen that one.
I mean, I know you don't do a lot of underwater welding, but I mean,
A snorkel?
next time you do.
But now there's my underwater well, and there's Bob's well.
Oh, Jesus.
Now do you want with your eyes closed?
I would have never tried this if I had known I was going to be abused this way. The alloy steel sales.
That is impressive.
So what you can do there then, that has a quick freeze slag on it. So somewhere when you're out there and it's wet, or somebody's got a pipe that's seeping, something, this has a quick freeze slag. You can weld it in water.
This is the 50.
Step up is an alloy rod. It's a 61. 61 is made to weld anything that has iron in it. So what has iron in it? Just about everything. Now when we're doing this, everybody will stand there and you know, nobody says nothing mostly. Then I say, hey, just about everything, you know. So when you're gonna
They work at a steel mill and they're like,
yeah,
oh no.
I say, what has iron in it? So this will marry dissimilar steels. If you're trying to put AR plate to carbon steel, if you got stainless and you're trying to weld it to manganese, you know, if you got something you're not quite sure what it is, generally this is the type of rod you want to try to weld something with. okay? Goes down at 128,000 PSI, it work hardens to 180,000. Super strong. That's almost 3 times the tensile strength of 7018. It's strong, but it's not brittle. It's got a 30% elongation. I put a fillet weld in, take a hammer and beat it, it's gonna keep bending, bending, bending. It's gonna pull base metal before your weld will break. Somewhere out in the plant, you got a severe vibration problem and you're constantly breaking. You're welding it, you know, once a week. Weld it with this, you're done. It's good to go. Very heat resistant, very corrosion resistant, okay?
So pardon me, wouldn't that be a good call to use on these trucks? Because there's a lot of vibration?
Usually, most of them you don't fight too much vibration crackage because they just flex and stuff.
I've
For the most part.
had coal trucks break springs, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, patch it with this till they get back and change the
Sure.
spring, you know. So variation. Variation, 61S. It's a stud pull electrode, just like what it sounds. Break a bolt off inside a housing. What do you do normally? Try to drill it out, tap it out, use an easy out, try to burn it out. Whatever you do is a pain, okay? What you can do with this, you can put a nut on the surface that will foolproof it a little bit. Because when you're doing this, if you mushroom over, it will weld to the flat surface. So if you put a nut on top of here, what you can do, you can reach down in there, strike an arc. Just run yourself a little circular, bring it up to where it's flush. You don't want to weld over, but by putting the nut on, if you accidentally do, you're okay, okay? Otherwise, what you'll do, you'll build that stud up, okay? Then when you take that nut off, you're gonna have a nub sticking out of the housing. You can put a nut back on there, purposely then weld the nut to the bolt. You'll be able to wind that right back out. Again, it's 128,000 up to 180,000 tensile strength, okay?
That flux will just run into the thread.
Yeah, it did. That's just a flux, of course.
What the shit, huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I'll be damned.
Then you just run that nut back on there,
Yeah.
weld it to it, and then back your bolt out.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Cutting rod. Cutting rod been around for a long time. This is pretty new and improved, okay? Cutting rod also, so when you use your carbon arc has carbon in it. When you cut with a carbon arc, you gotta grind it back out or you're gonna get carbon in your weld. At some point, you're gonna have a weld failure. Cutting rod has no carbon in it, okay? Cutting rod also will cut cast iron and stainless steel. Carbon arc melts it, lets you push it around a little bit, but this actually will cut it, okay? Now, the only thing with this, I tell people when you're gonna use it, you gotta treat it like a gun. Whichever way you point this is the way it wants to go. There's no air pushing it out of the way, the rod's pushing it out of the way. So what I wanna do, if all you wanna do is wash a weld out, you put it flat in here. I'm putting pressure right here, so I'm flexing the rod, all the pressure is right on that tip. Then as fast as I push, fast as it's gonna cut. If I could take my fingernail, go down through the metal, it'll make a cut like that, big enough to lay the rod in. Now you can use it if you wanna cut vertically. You know, I could cut the corner of the table off here with it just by using it vertically. I wanna pierce a bolt hole, whoom, you just push it down, then touch it, it'll make it as circular as you want, okay? It's nice on expanded metal. Guys wanna cut expanded metal, use a torch, you gotta stop and start on every tip. You lay a piece of steel on the expanded metal, whoop, you blow it like that. So that's the four there that we showed you.